In a rapidly escalating political landscape, the Canadian House of Commons has become the centre of intense debates, leaving Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's minority government in a precarious position. House Speaker Greg Fergus has set aside time for opposition parties to voice their concerns this week, paving the way for a possible no-confidence vote that could significantly impact the Trudeau administration. This moment is charged with tension, as the Conservatives have declined an opportunity to propose a no-confidence motion immediately, instead focusing on securing a full set of documents related to the RCMP's handling of a green technology fund, which they argue is crucial for transparency. While the Conservatives have long accused the Liberal government of misleading Canadians about financial mismanagement, their refusal to present the no-confidence motion right away is a deliberate strategic move. By continuing their extended debate, they aim to keep pressure on the government, particularly pushing the NDP into a difficult position. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh has repeatedly criticized Trudeau's leadership on issues such as housing and healthcare, yet his party has worked with the Liberals on other matters like dental care. The Conservatives are attempting to leverage Singh's past criticisms to force the NDP into a potentially damaging decision: support the government or risk an election that many feel unprepared for. The situation is further complicated by the Bloc Québécois, whose leader, Yves-François Blanchet, has grown more willing to align with opposition parties to challenge the Liberals, though always with the aim of benefiting Quebec. The Bloc's support could prove pivotal, but Blanchet is being cautious, ensuring that any move aligns with the interests of his constituents. With mounting pressure to pass crucial government spending bills by December 10th, the stakes couldn't be higher. If these bills are not approved, vital public services could be jeopardized, potentially worsening the Liberals' image. For the Conservatives, the challenge lies in maintaining their position as a viable alternative, with many Canadians watching how effectively they can translate their criticisms into a coherent policy platform. This political deadlock underscores deeper issues within the Canadian political system: a lack of trust and accountability between parties, and a government caught between the immediate pressures of opposition challenges and the need to deliver on critical issues facing Canadians. With public disillusionment on the rise due to issues like affordability and climate change, the stakes of this ongoing political drama extend far beyond the halls of Parliament. The next few days could be crucial in determining whether Canada's political leadership will rise to the occasion or whether this gridlock will further erode public confidence. As the days unfold, all eyes will be on the House of Commons, especially during the upcoming opposition days on Thursday and Friday. These days are critical as they provide a platform for the opposition to voice their opinions and potentially set the stage for a no-confidence vote. The timing couldn't be more crucial, given the looming December 10th deadline for approving government spending. Should the government fail to secure this approval, Canada risks facing a financial crisis that could have dire consequences on public services and government operations. The Liberal government finds itself between a rock and a hard place. On one hand, it must handle the increasing pressure from opposition parties, all of whom are eager to see the government removed or forced to make significant concessions. On the other hand, the Liberals must also demonstrate their ability to manage Canada's pressing issues, from housing affordability to climate change. As the opposition continues to pile on the pressure, Trudeau's leadership is under scrutiny like never before. The political narrative is shifting away from policies and solutions, and more toward accusations and political gamesmanship. For the Conservatives, the challenge is not just to hold the government accountable, but to offer a clear and viable alternative that resonates with Canadian voters. While Pierre Poilievre has been effective in calling out the government's missteps, the strategy of prolonged debate risks being perceived as obstructionism rather than genuine governance. Many Canadians, frustrated by rising costs of living and stalled progress on important issues, may begin to question whether the Conservatives are more focused on scoring political points than providing real solutions. Meanwhile, the NDP's position continues to remain in flux. While Singh's leadership has garnered praise for pushing progressive policies like affordable health care and affordable housing, his party faces mounting criticism from both the Conservatives and the Bloc. Singh's decision to align with the Liberals on certain votes has drawn the ire of opposition leaders, who accuse him of enabling a government they believe is failing Canadians. Yet, the NDP's cautious approach might also be seen as pragmatic, especially given the risk of an election. Their support for the Liberals on key policies has allowed them to secure some wins for their platform, but it has also led to questions about their long-term strategy. The Bloc Québécois, while not as influential on the national stage as the other opposition parties, plays a crucial role in this political game. Blanchet's recent shift toward working more closely with opposition parties signals a willingness to challenge the Liberals, but always with a focus on Quebec's interests. His support could be pivotal in tipping the scale, though he has made it clear that he will only back motions that directly benefit Quebec. The Bloc's position highlights the growing regional divides in Canadian politics, with Quebec increasingly feeling at odds with federal policies. As the government faces mounting pressure from all sides, the next few days will determine whether the Trudeau administration can hold on to power or if a shift in the political landscape will lead to a new chapter in Canada's political future. The risk of a no-confidence vote looms large, and while the Liberals might try to spin their way out of this crisis, the reality is that this deadlock is putting their leadership to the ultimate test. Can Trudeau's government survive this political showdown, or will the opposition successfully force a change in leadership? The outcome of this battle will not only impact the fate of Trudeau's government, but will also send a strong message about the state of Canadian democracy. If Parliament continues to be consumed by partisan infighting, it will only reinforce the perception that Canada's political leaders are more interested in bickering than solving the real problems Canadians face. The coming days will be critical as these political games play out, and Canadians will be watching closely to see if their leaders can rise to the occasion or fall further into gridlock. As the political drama continues to unfold, the question of whether Canada's leaders can overcome their differences becomes more pressing. Public sentiment is increasingly shaped by the sense that the political establishment is more focused on power struggles than on tangible solutions to the issues affecting everyday Canadians. With costs of living rising, healthcare systems under strain, and the urgency of climate change growing, many Canadians are questioning whether their elected representatives are up to the task of addressing these challenges. For the Liberals, the stakes are incredibly high. If the government is unable to break the deadlock and pass essential legislation, it could lead to more than just a loss of confidence. It could risk the very stability of Trudeau's minority government. The longer Parliament remains gridlocked, the more it erodes public trust, especially when essential issues are being ignored or delayed. The Liberals have attempted to navigate the opposition's demands, but the clock is ticking, and the likelihood of the government being forced into an early election is growing. The pressure is mounting from all sides, from the Conservatives pushing for transparency, from the NDP's complex balancing act, and from the Bloc's regional interests. For Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives, the political terrain is a mix of opportunity and risk. Poilievre has managed to stay on the offensive, highlighting perceived failures in government policies and offering a critique that resonates with many Canadians who feel disconnected from the political elite. However, the decision to delay a no-confidence vote raises questions about the long-term strategy. While it's clear the Conservatives are using every tool at their disposal to maintain pressure, the gamble lies in whether this approach will translate into tangible gains or if it will risk alienating voters tired of endless debates and inaction. Their decision to push for the release of documents tied to the Green Technology Fund could be seen as a vital issue of transparency, but it could also backfire if it becomes a symbol of political gamesmanship rather than a genuine concern for the public interest. The NDP, with its progressive ideals and desire for meaningful change, finds itself in a particularly tricky situation. Singh's criticism of the Liberal government has made headlines, but his party has also been a crucial ally in passing legislation that benefits ordinary Canadians. This delicate balance of supporting the Liberals on some issues while opposing them on others leaves the NDP vulnerable to accusations of enabling a government that some of their supporters view as ineffective. The pressure on Singh to either stand by his criticisms or shift his stance could define the NDP's role in the coming weeks, particularly if the possibility of an election becomes more imminent. The Bloc Québécois, though often seen as a more regional player, is strategically positioning itself to maximize its influence in this political standoff. Blanchet's decision to align with other opposition parties will depend on the specific proposals put forward, particularly those that can benefit Quebec. The Bloc's growing willingness to work with the Conservatives or the NDP signals a shift toward a more united front against the Liberals, though its support will be conditional. This tactical maneuvering highlights the increasing fragmentation of Canadian politics, where regional interests are sometimes prioritized over national unity. Amid all this maneuvering, the public remains an important, yet often overlooked, player in this political drama. Canadians are paying close attention to the ongoing debates in Parliament, and the longer the deadlock continues, the more it fuels disillusionment. With so many pressing issues on the table, such as housing affordability, healthcare, and climate change, the failure of elected leaders to find common ground could have serious consequences not just for the politicians themselves but for the broader political system. As we move closer to the potential no-confidence vote, the political landscape is likely to shift again. Trudeau's government will continue to defend its record, arguing that the opposition's tactics are undermining progress and stability. The Conservatives, in turn, will keep the pressure on, emphasizing their role as the true alternative to the Liberal government. The NDP and Bloc will weigh their options carefully, knowing that any decision they make could have far-reaching consequences for their political future. Ultimately, the next few days in the House of Commons could be pivotal in determining the future of Canada's leadership. Whether the current government can survive the storm or whether the opposition will succeed in toppling it will depend on the decisions made in the coming hours. One thing is certain: the outcome will have profound implications, not just for the political players involved, but for the direction of the country as a whole. As Canadians wait to see how the drama plays out, they are looking for leadership that can rise above the partisan gridlock and offer a vision for the future, one that can bring the country together and tackle the challenges ahead.